Right, quartering. Quite a few people have got hold of me and sent me messages trying to find out what it actually is, but more importantly how to do it effectively and correctly. In the gun dog world, predominantly spaniels, because they're the most common breed that we use nowadays, but there are many breeds that quarter or can quarter, or we can teach to quarter. What is it? So we want the dog in front of us to cover the ground. Left, right, left, right, left, right. But it has to do that in a certain way, where we want it to be methodical, we want it to be thorough, we want it to be precise, and we want it to effectively put its nose in as much space of the ground in front of us as it possibly can. But we need to teach it to do that effectively. And this leads on to when people say, oh, I train my dogs tight. What I mean when I say that is, I will naturally or purposefully train them to go left fairly close, to go right fairly close, to go left fairly close, right fairly close. Closer than I would when I'm out in the field, because I'm preempting the dog to get stimulated, excited, winged, or see or flush a bird that is further, and because of the excitement of the day, the dog is going to naturally cast out further of its own accord. So you want to preempt that, and you want to put the muscle memory and the habit and the thought process of the quartering pattern, you want to train it a lot tighter with, as I say, the expectation of when you do get out and the young dog does get out into the field and in the real thing, it's going to start drifting. It's going to start casting left and right further than what you have trained it to do. So that's what I mean when I say training a spaniel to quarter tight, in a tight way. I'm setting it up for the future. I'm preempting that dog to have its head a little bit and potentially push further out than what I would normally want. So that means training it tight. So quartering, it's not just zip, 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 zip. It has to be methodical, it has to be precise, and it has to be effective. Because if we've got dogs out working in front of us and they're missing game, or they're missing flushing game, and the bird or the rabbit or the hare or whatever is on the ground is not being flushed, we're stepping over it, and it's just waste. So work with me on this one. Picture the scene. You've got a massive clown costume bow tie on. All right, there it is, big bow tie around your neck. Take that bow tie off and put it onto the ground in front of you. That is the pattern that we want an effective quartering working dog to do. Look at it as a figure-8 pattern, or an infinity pattern, I think. So we're not just wanting the dog to go left and right, we want it to work effectively in a figure-8 pattern in front of us, all the time returning to us. And the reason why we want it to return to us as it passes us is, one, we can remain control, we can keep control if it's starting to get a little bit wild and it's starting to get a little bit excited. Or two, we can keep it motivated, we can keep it stimulated by encouraging it when it's nearby us. Also, what we don't want to do is it not get used to returning back to our area or our space. And 200 yards down the field is 30 metres that way, because it's not used to coming back. And through excitement and through stimulation, it's literally just got its own head and it's too far away from us and it's out of the shot range. So I was trying to explain to somebody the other day what I mean. What figure-8, what giant bow tie, take it off, put it down in front of you, and that is the most effective pattern that we want our dogs to quarter in. Quartering, yeah, it's very good. It's a necessity if you're rough shooting, or if you're working your spaniel or your dog in an effective way. But we have to do it methodically, we have to do it correctly, and the dog needs to get its drive and needs to get its enthusiasm and needs to get its vigor out of that process. And this is what I talk about, the on switch and the off switch. When you're here, you're off. When you're there, you're on. And I want you to go as crazy and turn into the world's worst lunatic as you possibly can, as long as you're remaining in that figure of 8 pattern, as long as your nose is on the ground and your arse is in the air, and as long as you are effectively covering every single inch of that ground. But also we want them not to range out too far away from us, because then they are out of shot range. What does shot range mean? Here I am with a gun, I'm walking along a field with my spaniel. If the spaniel is casting out or quartering out too far away from me and it flushes something, I do not have the range with the ammunition that I have to effectively kill that game. We don't want to do that. Anything that we want to put on our plate, we want to effectively kill it or dispatch it so it comes back in the most humane way that we can. So that's another reason why we want it to return to us as it passes out, in, out, in. We're always giving ourselves that opportunity, as I say, to regain control as it's passing us, or continue to motivate, continue to encourage, so that it then remains quick. So quartering, a little bit about what tight means and training it tight and the reasons why we train it tight, but a little bit of detail on what quartering is and the most effective way of training it in that effective pattern